After adequate examination, the CDSCO has decided to accept the recommendations of the expert committee, and accordingly, vaccines of Messrs. Serum and Bharat Biotech are being approved for restricted use in emergency situation.
Finally, the announcement that India has been waiting for. India now has 2 COVID-19 vaccines. Oxford Institute's Covishield, which is being developed by Pune-based Serum Institute of India, and Covaxin, which is being developed by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech. The regulator assured that the vaccines are completely safe.
एक बात पे पूरा आप श्योर रहिए कि किसी में भी सेफ्टी का कंसर्न होगा, थोड़ा भी कंसर्न होगा, तो हम उसको कभी अप्रूव नहीं करेंगे। कुल मिलाकर ये सेफ है। Of course, 110%.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said it was a moment of pride and thanked healthcare workers across the country for their efforts. The World Health Organization also welcomed the decision. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director of WHO Southeast Asia region, said, World Health Organization welcomes India's decision giving emergency use authorization to COVID-19 vaccines. The use of vaccine in prioritized populations, along with the continued implementation of other public health measures and community participation, will be important in reducing impact of COVID-19.
There are only 3 vaccines.
Serum Institute of India's CEO Adar Poonawala said that their first 50 million doses are ready.
We've got more than 50 million doses available. As soon as the government of India lets us know where they want it shipped out, and certain other formalities have to be processed, and a signed contract has to be there. In this week, we're expecting all these formalities to be completed in the next 7 to 10 days. So we're giving it at a very special price to the government of India at 200 rupees for the first 100 million doses. Then there will be tendering, and then different prices will be available. But let me just say, whatever we give to the government, they're going to provide it free to the people of India. And when we subsequently sell it in the private market, the MRP is going to be 1,000 rupees.
Chairman and Managing Director of Bharat Biotech, Dr. Krishna Ella, said, it is a proud moment for the nation and a great milestone in India's scientific capability, a kickstart to the innovation ecosystem in India. While this vaccine addresses an unmet medical need during this pandemic, our goal is to provide global access to populations that need it the most. However, there are questions over clearance given to Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Contrary to standard protocol, there is no efficacy data that has been presented by Bharat Biotech, and yet it has been approved. But government officials justified the move.
We have to get more robust data in terms of safety and efficacy as far as phase 3 trial is concerned. I feel that currently for the coming days, it's going to be the Serum Institute vaccine which is going to be administered. The Bharat Biotech will be a backup. And by the time, but they will continue to sort of get their doses ready. And by the time they get the data, which will be able to show that the phase 3 data is robust, they have enough events that they can show that it is efficacious and it is safe.
The chief of India's top medical body, Indian Council of Medical Research, claimed that the efficacy data would come soon.
But sir, in terms of efficacy, is it 50% effective, 60, 70, 80 plus? In phase 1 and phase 2, you said you had some data you've already got. What are the indicators so far?
So indicators are that it is a very high efficacy. I would like to put it like that.
Okay, and by which stage, sir, would you be able to get that data? Would it be weeks, months? Because as I understand it, this needs to be unblinded. In other words, it's only at a certain stage of the trials that you would have reached a situation when you can unblind the data and then say that this is X percentage effective. When would that be?
I think, as you said, within weeks.
Nearly 30,000 cold chain points across the country are ready for vaccine storage, and about 1.25 lakh vaccinators will be part of the process. In New Delhi with camera person Ashok Mahale, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Well, joining us now, Dr. V.K. Paul of the Niti Aayog. Thanks so very much for being with us. It's a fantastic day, isn't it, that we finally got these vaccines being rolled out. But, sir, questions are being raised not just in India but around the world on Covaxin. What was the need to press through with it at this stage without efficacy data being available to you?
Remember, Vishnu, we are dealing with a decision which is an emergency authorization. Emergency authorization means it is in the context of a raging pandemic in which the subject expert group alluded to the various facts available to them and also some unique features of this vaccine, and they decided that an emergency restricted use can be gone ahead under certain circumstances and conditionalities, and this needs to be understood fully. There are 4 points in the decision. Firstly, unlike the Covishield, the use of Covaxin will be in clinical trial mode. It is to be given to individuals and then they are followed up as if they are subjects in a trial. That means there is a different monitoring protocol, more intense monitoring, as well as outcome measurement in a systematic way. That's number one. Number two, it is being offered it is being considered for use, especially in a situation where mutant strains may be playing havoc potentially at some stage in an emergent way in the country, and a population needs to be protected in a certain more specific way to account for the mutation that may nullify or compromise the effectiveness of other vaccines. Remember, this is a vaccine which is a whole virion vaccine. The entire virus, a dead virus, is being injected to excite immunity against multiple proteins. Unlike, say, other vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, etc., they are targeting only the S protein, and only against that protein the antibodies are being built.
Right.
This vaccine, being a whole cell vaccine, has many proteins against which immunity will be raised. So it is likely that, much more likely, that the mutations will not be able to offset the effectiveness of this vaccine.
But Dr. Paul,
so this is being brought as an
works.
additional arsenal into the vaccine protection armamentarium of the country.
Understood,
and
sir.
the third
but
part
we still
that
don't
is very
know
important is to be understood is that the clinical trial
yes
will go on, and endpoints as they arrive will be analyzed and further decisions can be taken. So this authorization is in a unique circumstance of an emergency use with conditionalities which take care of the scientific rationale behind this particular decision.
Dr. Paul, two points over here. Why couldn't we have waited a little bit before we got the effectiveness data, the efficacy data? I understand the circumstances, but we don't even know if it works or not. It could be well lower than 50%. So wouldn't it have been better to wait for a few weeks to get that data to actually see if it works? And aren't the people who are going to be receiving the drug now essentially guinea pigs?
No, that is not true. Let's remember, because by this time you already have clarity about its safety.
Right.
You have a very robust evidence of immunogenicity, and you are following the principles of clinical trial rules when people are joining in for being potential beneficiaries. And therefore, this is a response to a context of an emergency in which this particular paradigm is being invoked. It has to be seen in that light. All the vaccines today, including Pfizer and Moderna, are in emergency use. The final word has not been spoken for any of them.
But sir, in the case of Moderna and Pfizer, you have efficacy data. For Oxford, you have efficacy data. It was only, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the case of the Chinese vaccine and Sputnik earlier on, that they started giving jabs and later came out with efficacy data. Here, we have not come out with any efficacy data.
Vishnu, we are different from that approach.
Okay.
Because look at what we are saying in the order. What the DCGI is saying is, A, it is especially in the context of emerging mutant strains.
Right.
So this is the context in which its use will be seen in particular. Secondly, it will be used as if it is a clinical trial for the beneficiaries. And you are taking this approach in a unique circumstance to create an additional shield for the people of India. In addition to the other vaccine, you have a concomitant and a second layer of protection potentially available to us in a situation which could be fraught with danger, and therefore it offers us a stopgap arrangement till the final word about clinical efficacy comes up from the ongoing phase 3 trial. It's a matter of weeks in any case.
Okay,
but this opportunity opens the door for a complementary strategic approach to offer a greater net of protection should the need arise.
An important point that you have spoken about now is that the nature of this vaccine gives it a greater chance in tackling the mutant strain, right? Because of the design of the vaccine,
because it is dealing with multiple antigenic proteins against which the antibodies are built up in a multiple ways. It is not antibody production in the person against a vaccine, a antigen, right. Say S protein antigen and S protein. There are other proteins against which the vaccine will excite antibody response, and it also has shown a very significant T cell immunity. So on the basis of the scientific data that's available to us, it is uniquely positioned as a potent vaccine, even in the face of mutations which may neutralize some of the efficacy of other vaccines. That situation does not exist today. Today's vaccines are effective against the current known mutations and known variants of the virus. But we have a vaccine distinct from other vaccines. Others don't have this vaccine. India has this vaccine, and therefore it has been brought into the arsenal available to the nation under specific conditions, under conditionalities, to be utilized if the need arises.
I understand now much better the scientific basis of bringing this in. Thanks for clarifying that point. Second question, in terms of the 30 odd crore citizens we will now be inoculating, healthcare workers, armed forces, senior citizens, people with comorbidities, etc., what percentage of them would be getting the Oxford virus and what percentage would be getting Bharat Biotech Covaxin in the interim period?
Well, firstly, this apportionment will be the protocol that will be brought into public domain very soon, now that we have the licensure. But you would appreciate that given the fact that there is a much larger stockpile available from Serum Institute, which is a remarkable company, the majority or the bulk of rollout of the present, the emerging phase of first wave of vaccination program in India would largely be on the shoulders of Covishield. There is no doubt, purely because there is so much more capacity. And the available capacity from Bharat Biotech, which is also significant, by the way, it is not small. It is to the tune of 5 million doses per month, and it will be jacking up in months to come, would be available as an additional part of our stockpile to be used strategically. I think, Vishnu, you should view this as a strategic choice that the country has made, that we have a vaccine going forward, Covishield. Much of that experience of Covishield has been in other countries. We have a bridging study from India. It goes forward, and it is going forward in at least one more other country. We are using Bharat Biotech vaccine as an additional arsenal because of its unique features, and that also using conditionality that I clarified. It's clinical trial mode. It is to be specially kept in mind when there is a possibility of mutations playing havoc in our country. So when you put it all together, it is actually a smart strategic choice this country has made, and we have done it because we have the vaccine of the nature that Covaxin is. Other countries do not have the vaccine, and therefore it is positioned as a multi-pronged strategic
I understand
choice.
that. You explained that point, sir, but let me ask you my next sort of thing. What if there is a scenario where you start vaccinating, say, a senior citizen with comorbidities with Covaxin, right? The efficacy data turns up several weeks later and you find that it's below 50%. Then what happens?
Well, remember, the people who would enter into the usage of Covaxin, A, would enter voluntarily as if they are subjects for a clinical trial, because it is a clinical trial mode.
Would they have a choice?
They will of course have a choice.
So they can take either of the two drugs?
Because in any case, the entire vaccination program is voluntary.
No, would they have a choice of drugs?
No, the person who chooses to go for Covaxin has decided to go for Covaxin. If the general vaccination program would follow, the bulk of this will follow Covishield, they have a choice to wait for an opportunity to be inoculated through that vaccine. That choice is a choice that will be available as a part of the larger program based on the prioritization system that has been created and based on the rollout milestones that will flow in terms of the implementation program.
Okay, last question to you, because I want to go across to Adar as well. This is important what you are suggesting, that at a later stage, people will have a choice if there are many vaccines which are available on what vaccine to get. But in the interim period, as in the next few days onwards, they won't have that choice. Is that right?
Well, in the interim period, these are the only two vaccines, right? So Covishield moves in a certain way. And if this vaccine is offered, this will be offered in the clinical trial mode voluntarily.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Dr. Paul, very much for sharing all of those details on the choices which have been made today. Let us hope that this works out as soon as possible. Thanks very much indeed. Well, earlier on today, I did speak to Adar Poonawalla of the Serum Institute of India. They have the Covishield vaccine that's been extensively tested outside India. There are tests also which are taking place, and they do have an efficacy number, approximately 70%. It could go up depending on the dosing regimen. Let's listen in to what he said. Adar, thanks very much for being with us. How many vials at this stage do you have ready to be disseminated?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge relief now that we finally got the approval, and we've got more than 50 million doses available. As soon as the government of India lets us know where they want it shipped out, and certain other formalities have to be processed, and a signed contract has to be there. In this week, we're expecting all these formalities to be completed in the next 7 to 10 days, and a very quick rollout after that. And we're hoping to reach 70 to 80 million doses of actual supply in the next 1 month, maybe a month and a half at the most.
How easy or how difficult will it be for you to step up manufacture from here onwards, assuming the paperwork is done, right? And you need to obviously step up manufacture. How fast and at what rate?
So as I said, after March, we can double our monthly output, but it all depends on the easing of restrictions that the government of India puts on us, and we'll have to go by their guidance and wisdom, because they have said that we cannot export the vaccine or give it to the private market. These have been our discussions at the moment, and I respect that because they want to give it to the vulnerable people. But that also means that any common citizen today who wants to buy it or get access to it, or a corporate who wants to vaccinate their entire workforce to bring them back safely to work, can't do so until the government has got enough doses to vaccinate the vulnerable healthcare workers, the elderly, etc., etc.
Let's talk a little bit about the drug itself, because that's the bottom line over here. This is an extensive trial which has taken place outside the country. There are trials also which have been taking place here in India. As far as data from the Indian trials is concerned, how is that an ongoing process? How will that add to the volume of data that exists?
Well, it was only a bridging study which will add to the immunogenicity and long-term safety profile of the product. The main point here is that there are only 3 vaccines in the world who have proven efficacy, and which you need to do in 20 to 25,000 people. And even there are other Indian companies doing that at the moment currently, and we'll wait to see their result and score. But it's Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca, Oxford. These are the only 3 vaccines which have proven to work. Everything else has proven to be safe, just like water is safe. But the efficacy, to know how well a vaccine works, 70%, 90%, 80%, has only been proven in these 3 vaccines. So this is the data that we got by doing all these global trials. And the Indian study was just a bridging study to demonstrate further safety and immunogenicity in Indian people.
So in a statement, when was it? Yesterday, the government said, that after detailed deliberations, subject expert committee has recommended for the grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situations subject to certain regulatory conditions. That was for the SII drug. What are these certain conditions or conditionalities?
The only condition is that we can't give it and sell it in the private market or export it. There's no more data to be given. It's only a condition on supplying, as I understand it, only to the government of India, so that they can give it to the poor, to the needy, to the most vulnerable first, and then everyone else gets it, subsequently in that kind of priority.
Is there any clarity other on who pays for it? Who pays for the drug?
Yeah, so we're giving it at a very special price to the government of India at 200 rupees for the first 100 million doses. Then there will be tendering, and then different prices will be available. But let me just say, whatever we give to the government, they're going to provide it free to the people of India. And when we subsequently sell it in the private market, the MRP is going to be 1,000 rupees, which means that, the company gets 500-600 rupees. The distributors, doctors and others in the normal distribution channels get to get a little margin there and do it that way. But the final customer pays 1,000 rupees per shot.
Right, so 2,000 for the full dose. And if it enters the private market, when it enters the private market, so lots of riders over there. For you personally, it's a huge day. I mean, you'd guessed at one level, it was an educated guess several months back that, look, this is the drug that's going to work. You had the option of going with others. You have tied up with others, but you had really sort of guessed. I won't use the word bet because I'm not sure you're a betting man, but you'd guessed big at one level or other on this, and that seems to have worked out. What does today mean for you and for your company, all the people who are churning out these vials?
No, absolutely. All my production staff, everyone here, my clinical staff, my regulatory staff, everybody here is rejoicing on the fact that all their effort and working till late hours in the night have paid off finally, because we did take that risk very early on. A lot of critics said that, we're doing something which is perhaps foolish or too risky, and, what would happen if these vaccines don't work out and you've spent all this money. We were raising capital also at that time, which then we deferred because we got a big investment and advance commitment from the Gates Foundation and Gavi. So, getting the funding together also to do this, where we've spent more than $600-700 million across multiple candidates on the OPEX, the CAPEX, so it's all come together, at least for this first product, and hopefully for all the other vaccines also that we've partnered with Novavax and so many other great companies. So we're now looking forward to launching, even the next vaccines. But of course, the first challenge now, the real challenge is rolling out large volumes across the country and the world, which we've all been waiting for in 2020, to move on to a new year, which will be positive, and, we can all rejoice and see that this pandemic is slowly getting behind us.
So a quick couple of last questions. The efficacy of the drug, right? It's about 70% plus in a 2-dose regimen. But the expectation, this is what AstraZeneca's leadership said a few days back, was that it would match Pfizer and Moderna. So when would we know that?
Well, let me clarify that. In one dosage regime, we are 90%. Correct. And that's what we're recommending to the government, that if you just wait for 2.5 to 3 months between dose 1 and dose 2, your efficacy is 90%. 100%. That's been proven by AstraZeneca, and they're going to make that very public soon. That's also got another plus point, that you can cover that many more people and protect them that much earlier. Imagine if you just have to give the first dose, right? 50 million doses per month in the country to everybody. You're protecting that many more people that much faster. So that's also another advantage.
All right, Aadar. Well, it's a huge day. Hopefully, all the paperwork is done soon so that this can start rolling out to the 30 crore people first who really need it desperately fast, and then, of course, to the millions of others who need it as desperately fast. Thanks very much, Aadar, for being with us. Thank you very much indeed.